We've spoken to him before on the programme. Brian Colt is the leader of Britain Overall, which is a political party. Brian, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Very good morning to you, John.
Very good morning. Now, where are you, Brian? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'd rather not say. I'm on a high street somewhere. Okay, I'd rather not say.
What's the reason for that?
Well, because John, I'm vilified by some people who don't seem to appreciate that what I'm standing for is a peaceful return to patriotism and kicking them out.
Well, for those that aren't. Well, I mean, you've led straight away there with your main manifesto, which is kick them out, isn't it, of the country? Is this the reason?
It was a badge for a while, yeah.
Yeah. Is this the reason that during the local elections this week, your party, Britain Overall, collapsed, Brian?
We had a very good night, John. We had a very good night.
Where did you have
so
that?
we were we were targeting 27 seats, John.
Yep.
We were targeting Pratt's Bottom in Orpington, mainly in Kent, actually.
Yep.
Sexburger Drive on the Isle of Sheppey.
I know it.
Cockle Swamp Alley in Deal, Bogey Lane, Tunbridge Wells.
Yep.
Big Dog Lane, Fritton.
Yes. Well,
we were targeting 27 seats, and we took 8. We took 8 votes, John.
8 votes. 8 votes.
I remortgaged my house, John.
Yep.
£87,000.
Yeah. And those, and again, you did have to.
It was a very good. It was a very.
No, it wasn't a good night for
you.
you.
I feel like Chico, to be honest with you. I feel like Chico.
In what sense? He's not around anymore either.
Sort of gone.
Yeah, gone.
I put everything on black, John.
Well, that's ironic, isn't it? Because your leaflets that we mentioned, and this was a big at your own personal cost, as you said. You had how many leaflets printed in the end? For 400,000?
150,000. Well, there was something like that.
Well, I think the initial.
The thing is, we found most of them in a bin. We paid a guy to do it, and they dumped them in a bin.
Well, let's be honest here, because that's just politician speak, isn't it? And the politician speak that it's politician speak for is that you had 400,000 leaflets printed that were immediately considered illegal because they incited racial hatred. And you were forced. Wait a moment. No, you were then forced.
Racial moderate dislike.
Racial moderate dislike is unpleasant, but it's not a crime. Racial hatred, which is what your party stands for, is. And you were told by a judge to put those leaflets in a skip. So a man did dump them in a skip, but that man was you, because you were told to do it by a judge because your leaflets were racist. Then you had another 150,000 printed, which just came in under the radar of racist, but to the right thing.
Well, we changed a certain word describing a certain demographic group of person to,
that word,
just so you know what.
I know.
You know what.
I know what, but you can't put that word on a leaflet as well, you know. And also, was it a good idea?
I do know.
I know, well, you know now. Was it a good idea, by the way? And a lot of people...
Was it what, by the way?
Was this, Brian, a good idea? A lot of people listening to this will be wondering why on earth you suggested at the beginning of this week that Kanye West would be standing for your party in Thanet.
Listen, Kanye West and his remarks this week about slavery being a choice.
That's right.
Okay, there's 2 things.
Yeah. Oh, I think we might have lost Brian's signal there. We need to try and get Brian back. I think Brian's. Have we lost Brian? Have we lost Brian's signal? Yeah, we have. Yeah. All right. We're going to try and get him back on, I think. So, I mean, it might be, of course, that Brian realised he'd already lost the argument, and the whole thing just cut off because he hung up on us. I mean, that might be the case, because at the end of the day, his party did terribly in the local elections. This is Britain Overall, of course, who well, like UKIP collapsed. I think he is back. Did you hang up on me, Brian, then? Did you hang up?
Listen, no. Oh, come off it.
Yeah, well, he's hung up again, hasn't he? So, I mean, while we do try and get him back, let's take some music. This is Block Party.
Literally a joke.
And that's Block Party 2 more years. And, well, in many ways, Brian, your party has been blocked, hasn't it? And you haven't even got 2 more weeks, let alone 2 more years, Brian.
I don't think that's fair, John. We had a very good night. We had some Prosecco and that. It was a very good night.
Yeah.
Listen, John, look at UKIP, OK? Now look at their collapse.
Yeah.
There's no viable alternative anymore. Their General Secretary compared them to the Black Death.
That's right.
Right? Well,
Yeah.
I would say that
Don't-
Britain overall...
Yeah.
Go on.
No, go on, you go on.
Well, we're more like Ebola.
That's where I was going to go
We're
as well.
nibbling away, John. We're nibbling away at the flesh of the Westminster bubble
Yeah.
until the morbid,
Are you-
decayed flesh falls away from the bone. It's a wonderful thing, just like the Black Death. Yes.
I would say that you're more like thrush. You're an irritant, aren't you?
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to go this way, yeah. And I don't like yoghurt. I don't like yoghurt.
Exactly that. And so fair, isn't it? That's a fair. You know
Fair.
what? A lot of people say your party is like a disease as well. We've had TB has been mentioned, isn't it? Your party's been called like the political tuberculosis. Was one of the quotes from
No, I
one
think
of
you
the.
misheard. They were saying GB. They were saying we represent GB.
No, it was definitely
We're the best.
because you are
We're for
also a
Britain
party
and
that
that.
advocates the hunting of badgers, and of course badgers spread TB to cattle and so forth. You've got no seats.
Yeah, no,
You've got
we
no
advocate
seats.
the wearing of badges. Yeah.
No seats, no votes. You're more unpopular than the Liberal Democrats now, Brian. Oh, he's hung up. He's just hung up again. See, this is the problem with politicians, isn't it? You see, you get them on the phone to talk about the issues, and they just hang up. We're going to try and get him back if we can, because he hasn't answered the questions that we're putting to him, and it's a typical politician. He's going to blame a bad line. He's going to say that he hadn't got a signal where he was. Aren't you, Brian? You're going to say you haven't got a signal and you keeps cutting off. But every time I ask you a question that you can't answer, you just hang up. That's the truth of it, isn't it?
No. Maybe.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Kanye West. Kanye West standing in Thanet. He was on your leaflet. You said he was standing as a candidate in Thanet in the local elections.
Yeah.
But the problem, what's insulting about that is that the people who live in Thanet, right? You said that Thanet is a choice. It isn't a choice, is it, for a lot of people, Thanet?
It wouldn't necessarily be the best choice. I'll accept that. But Kanye West and all of the ire that he's attracted with his comments. Now, look, he can say these things, John.
Yeah.
About slavery because he's a person of colour, and B, because he's a musical genius.
Right, yeah. Well.
And what you don't understand, and what I think anyone who's not in touch with the working class of this country anymore, is that facts are more about feelings rather than empirical evidence.
Right.
So if he feels like slavery is just fine.
Right. Well, it's not fine, is it? It's insulting to a...
Good for him. You know, I feel, John, that immigration is the root cause of all the problems in this country.
Yeah. Well,
not the austerity policies of the government or the rise of the gig economy, the almost total lack of investment in new housing, the ridiculous pay packets of CEOs of companies, the tax evasion of multinational corporations, and Noel Edmonds.
Right. I put it to
And
you...
that's how I feel, therefore it's a fact.
Brian, you're a
it works
Brian,
now.
you're a spent force like a flaccid man. Brian Colt there.